This episode of An Abundance of Naught is brought to you by Amazon.com. Amazon affiliated with us. We're very happy about it. Please go to anabundanceofnaught.com, click on the Amazon banner, and do all your shopping as normal. Bookmark for ease of use. We appreciate it.
And TLDRgamer.com. When you don't have a whole lot of time to read the gaming news and just want the brief excerpts, visit TLDRgamer.com for the core info. Thank you to them for the hosting and bandwidth for our podcast. Enjoy the show.
We here at Abundance of Naught do appreciate you listening in and would also appreciate you sharing us with your friends via the Stitcher Radio app and also iTunes. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and join us at Facebook. Thank you.
Tax Day.
We are not recording on a Wednesday due to complications for Wednesday. Therefore, we're recording on Tuesday. Yay!
Tuesday! It's like Wednesday, only earlier.
Only earlier. It's like hump day, but not.
It's like pre-hump hump day.
It's a double hump day. It's my kind of humping. How's everybody doing?
It's hump prep day. Doing well. How are you?
I'm very tired. I stayed up fairly late last night because of the lunar eclipse. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, you stayed up to see it?
I stayed up long enough to see enough of it before finally calling it quits, waving the white flag, and surrendering to Night Land.
Did you record anything? Videos, photo?
We did. We've got a slight recording on the GoPro, although its picture is only so-so at distances. Therefore, I will have to see if I can edit something into play and see if it makes sense. I think the color will change, but I'm not sure how, really clear you'll be able to see the transition.
I imagine it's probably so-so at those light levels as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
From
lot
what
of
I've
filters.
heard, the sensor is fairly decent, but, we're talking fairly dark conditions.
Yeah, no, I mean, the moon was bright enough, so it definitely picked up the moon. It definitely picks up the movement across the sky. I haven't watched enough of the recording to see the transition during the eclipse or not. So I'll play with that. I'll do some zoom on it to try to not be the smallest speck on the screen. But, no, I was looking at some filters last night, though, online, and there's a company called SRP. They make all sorts of underwater filters, but also like a 10 times zoom lens-type adapter for the GoPro. So that's pretty cool, and I'm kind of intrigued.
Cool. It's amazing what you can do with pieces of glass.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty sweet. Aside from that, played pool last night, and that was also a strong contribution to the sleep deprivation.
Of course.
You see what I did? That was pretty cool.
How did you do? Or is that a topic we don't want to discuss?
No, I could talk about it this week. I did pretty well.
When he does well, we can talk. When he's not,
right.
he's like, nope, we're going to go to the movies.
That's right. Hey, we highlight the good, skip over the bad. That's kind of my philosophy.
You can tell the weeks you didn't do well, because we don't talk about it.
That's correct.
Except for when most of our viewer base wants to hear us suffer.
No. Why would they want to hear us suffer?
Please, everyone wants to hear everyone else suffer. It brings joy to their life knowing that other people are suffering.
If you keep bringing negativity to the podcast, you can go be negative somewhere else.
And there's some negativity.
Jeez, killing me. No, I played a guy
he
who
doesn't want to hear it.
That's right, he doesn't. No, I played a guy who was a 3, which means he had to win 2 racks. I had to win 4. So I won the first 2. He won the 3rd. I won the 4th game. And in the league that we play in, if you make the 8-ball on the break and don't scratch, you win that rack. So I did that on the last rack and, shook his hand and we went on our merry way.
It was almost
Nice.
like, I'm done with this. I was toying with you. Boom. Later.
Pretty much. Yeah. And that's the end of that. So
You probably talked it up and made it sound a lot more impressive than it really was.
It was actually, I don't think anyone on their team had ever seen it before because their whole team, I'm questioning their sexuality. I want to say that up front, and that's not to be disrespectful. It's just to be observant. But the reactions to me making the 8-ball on the break only add evidence to the suspicion of their maybe more flamboyant nature. Because I literally took the breath away of the guy I was playing. He gasped and put his hand over his chest and was utterly shocked of my accomplishment, which I've done a couple times in the past.
Did he ask for your phone number?
No. I didn't give him that many hints. So, I'm not sure what you're getting at there, but hey. No, I don't need to work on that, actually. But thank you for your criticism. I'll take that into consideration. Let's see, over the weekend, we saw Captain America on Friday. We'll talk about that briefly, or not briefly, but shortly. Saturday, what did I do Saturday? Do you know what I did Saturday? I don't even know what I did Saturday.
I think I was sitting around.
Oh, Saturday did a lot of sitting around, but we did go and check out a condo. That
yes.
was decent in a lot of ways, but it lacked garage space for some of our immediate goals. And Sunday, kind of did a lot of lounging around Sunday, too. So,
nice.
Uneventful weekend with the exception of Captain America. So, that's that.
Alrighty then.
Wait, or Brad, flip a coin.
Wait, go for it.
There you go. Brad lost.
Yeah. He said tails when it came ahead. But anywho, was working actually on a lot of some more, how do I say, series for the channel, I guess. I mean, I really didn't basically sat around thinking a lot most of the day of what can I do to bring in more interesting content for the channels, and I think we'll get to that later on. But yeah, I mean, mostly just sitting around and also
relaxing and enjoying the time off.
Yeah, and I actually kind of came to the point that I could do more with my time, obviously, and I thought, what better way to do that than do volunteer work, which I'm now looking into. So,
cool.
Yeah, I figure I can spend my time better than just sitting around doing nothing. So, hopefully I will have a better news to report with the next podcast of actually doing something worthwhile.
We're all anxious to hear.
Exciting.
Good. We got to keep them coming back. With
Sure.
Hopeful, prosperous news.
Brad, I think he's turned it over to you.
Yep.
All right. So, fairly quiet weekend. We also visited the silver screen.
Ooh.
More details to come.
Paper.
Boys had soccer. Yeah, that was the highlights.
That was the highlight, not crashing and burning on their bike?
Well, that was not exactly a highlight.
Honorable mention?
Honorable mention, yes. My youngest had a issue with the tension on his bicycle chain, and it locked up and kind of, sent
Shoelace?
him flying to the ground.
You get a shoelace caught in this chain or something?
No, it seized on one of the spokes, or one of the teeth of the gears, it looks like, and it ended up throwing the chain completely off the gears.
Ooh, good one.
I love
Yeah.
when that happens.
Yeah, so he's recovering from a little bit of road rash.
Yeah, chicks dig scars. He'll be fine.
So
I can tell you're really broken up about it, so I just want to assure you that he'll be fine.
oh yeah, we already know.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Wanted to make sure we're all on the same page.
I believe we are.
He'll
Okay.
survive. Garrett's living proof of it.
Got enough scars and road rash and stitches and cuts that should have gotten stitches that didn't.
How fast was that bike going with that one on your arm?
Well, that was dirt bike. Not very
Nevertheless.
fast. I mean, maybe, I don't know, second, third gear, but it was all the rocks on the trail that really did it.
And we now
They'll
have a
get you
picture
every
for
time.
the thumbnail of the podcast.
Scars, an abundance of them.
More injuries from Garrett. I think we had the nearly sliced off thumb or pinky last.
That was pinky. My right pinky literally looks like Frankenstein's finger. It's got darn near a scar going all the way around it.
You'll remember this injury if you've actually stayed with us throughout the entire.
One of them was a self-inflicted razor blade wound, although not intentional, but still self-inflicted. The other one was a giant pry bar. So it's amazing that the two scars line up, though. Like, it's bizarre. Anyway.
The great pry bar incident of 2013.
That's it. Wasn't so great at the time. kind of freaking sucked. Anyway, I think it's time for some movies. And in the movies this week coming out, we have Transcendence. This is the Johnny Depp movie with Paul Bettany, where it appears he undergoes a pretty fatal injury. They transfer his mind into the computer, and all hell breaks loose. I'm assuming they're going under the premise that emotions can't be transferred, only logic, which would make sense.
I think then he connects to the internet and he's like, I'm smarter than I ever was now.
Well, that and the fact that he can duplicate himself on the internet and can't be stopped. And so there's a whole pointed thing there, and I think something to do with eradicating the less fortunate. Or so, I don't know. But I think they do something with he no longer has the emotions of who he once was, which could be interesting. Being that we're on Tuesday, I have no critic ratings posted for any of the 4 movies, so bear with us on that one. Also coming out is A Haunted House 2. This is a haunted house. This is a horror comedy with Marlon Wayans and a few other notable black actors. Jamie Presley is also in it, notably not black, but yeah, comedy horror.
That's what he's famous for.
That's right. So I will not be seeing that. I saw Marlon Wayans in stand-up and was not impressed, and we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Additionally, we have Heaven is for Real. This is kind of an interesting movie coming out, seeing that not long ago we had a movie come out called God's Not Dead. So anyway, on a religious kind of deal, but apparently this movie is about a young boy who has died, gone to heaven, and since returned. I don't know the duration of the return. I haven't seen the movie. But I don't know if it was like an instant resuscitation or a prolonged event. Either way, he's going through kind of a little bit of a hardship in that people not really sure how to react to him, what to believe, what he says he saw, all that kind of good stuff. That is honestly not a whole lot of notable actors on that one. Seems like maybe some up-and-comings. So if that's the kind of movie you think you might be interested in, have at it. I will probably not. Finally is Disney's Nature's Bears. This is a movie following what appears to be a pack or family of grizzly bears. So if you want a little bit of warm and fuzzy, even though grizzly bears aren't necessarily warm and fuzzy personality-wise, but you can definitely check that one out. And
do they live in packs?
No, when I said pack, I meant
term?
the family group of mother and cubs.
Okay.
So, my mistake. In the box office, Captain America in number 1 again at $41.3 million, which looks like domestically they're still $30 million short of their budget. Yeah, that. Rio 2 taking second at $39.3 million, Oculus at $12 million, and Draft Day at $9.8 million. Considering Rio, Oculus, and Draft Day came out this past weekend, we have no honorable mentions. You said you went and saw the movies. What did you go see?
Before I get to that, I do want to kind of blend here a little bit of news with the movies. This one's kind of humorous. You'll get a kick out of it. Still in theaters is Noah.
Yes.
And
number 5 in the box office.
What's that?
It was 5th in the box office.
So, a movie theater in Exeter, England, apparently decided to take the 4D movie experience just a little too far. They ended up having to cancel the first screening of Nowhere after the theater flooded.
Nowhere
to go because the planet is full of water.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting, getting flooded out of the Noah movie.
Yeah, pretty ironic, right?
Yep. Anyway, that's not what we went and saw. Took the family over the weekend to go see Rio 2.
Okay. What did we think?
Didn't do so well. Critic readings only gets I think it's like a 49% on Rotten Tomato.
That's correct.
But it was good. I like cartoons, so what can I say?
Did you pretty much get what you expected out of it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
A little bit of environmentalism, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of fluffy animals.
Sure.
Pretty much what I was expecting. Didn't disappoint. There were some good bits. There were some slow bits. But overall, I would say it's a pretty decent movie to take the family to.
Gotcha. I do have mild plans of taking the kid to see it sometime this week. I'm not sure if it'll be a Thursday, Friday thing or Easter Sunday thing. Not really sure yet.
Sure.
But,
Has she seen number one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have
Did
it
she like it?
Of course.
Alrighty then. You're probably good.
Fantastic. Wade, do you want to give us your impressions, likes, dislikes, Captain America?
Well, Captain America, it's a Marvel movie. I do have to say, after 3 Iron Mans, 2 Thors, 1 Captain America, and an Avenger. I think we got them all there.
Plus Hulk.
I mean, you do know what kind of quality you're expecting now.
Not to mention the 5 X-Men movies.
Agreed.
And now a Spider-Man movie, and the 2 Spider-Man movies before... 3 Spider-Man movies before that.
Well,
they may not have been true
I think
Marvel.
this is when, actually, I think they did Iron Man 1. They went, hey guys, we could do a lot with this.
Well, a lot of people don't know, and I think we touched on this before, though. Marvel Studios was self-funded to do Iron Man 1, and I think it was after Iron Man 2 that Disney said, hey, that studio's making money, let's buy them. Anyway.
And so now they're churning them out.
Oh, well, that's Disney for you.
Cha-ching.
They will milk anything until no one wants it anymore. Then they'll just lock it away in the vault.
For Iron Man to go into the Disney vault.
Yeah, exactly. They'll lock anything away for 15 years, and they'll never seen again. Then it'll come back out digitally remastered.
That's right.
That's how they do it, people. But yeah, it was. Very good movie. Do you ever need a reason to see Scarlett Johansson for the guys? No. Do you need to go see for women? What's the Captain America? What's his name? The actor.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. For girls, do you need a reason to see him? No, because they're both pretty attractive people. Storyline, actually, I guess it's pretty forgettable because I've already forget what it was. That's right. It was Hydra.
Cautious to do spoilers here, but
Stuff
anyway,
goes down.
Let me just take a stab in the dark. Bad guy goes rogue, or good guy goes rogue, goes bad, or bad guy, and Captain America saves the day.
Well, aside from the total confusion of the first part you said, yes, Captain America saves the day.
I'm good.
You're good.
Well,
it was not. What it really comes down to, without giving too much away, is when you give people too much power, power corrupts. Or when there's a lack of checks and balances, people will act to their own prerogative. So that kind of happens here. You get a flashback for Captain America's history, and we introduce to the Falcon, who is a more or less paratrooper, but you see in the ads where he's got these wings and jetpack, which was really freaking cool.
Yeah. Get ready for a spin-off, I have to say.
Well, they're talking about doing a Black Widow spin-off movie, too. Although they got to wait till she has her kid and everything, because she is expecting. Congratulations to Scarlett.
She's got to get back to her target weight of fitting in a black jumpsuit.
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree. The movie is a good length. It's 2 hours plus. It's all the special effects that you'd expect from Marvel. We get Robert Redford in the movie, which, I mean, you get a legend in there, and it's always entertaining. Nick Fury, aka Samuel Jackson, doesn't disappoint. So definitely, if you're a fan of these movies, what are you waiting for?
More of the same. I mean, really, it's what you're going to get throughout all the series.
That is correct. And now, let's get to some news.
So this is the news for Tuesday, April 15, 2014. So, top of the news today, Apple has been buying again.
Oh, really?
Once again, they've gone on a spending spree, buying up little companies with doodads and thingamajigs and doohickeys.
Are they getting a little jealous of Facebook right around?
Maybe.
Mark Zuckerberg, or are they trying to keep up with the Joneses? Is that what's going on?
They're trying to keep up with the Gateses. But one particular purchase really caught my eye as standing out from their normal pattern of behavior. They just recently purchased a hydroelectric power plant in Central Oregon.
Oh, okay.
So Apple Computers is going into the energy business.
So what? Our computers are going to come with little water wheels now? Self-charging?
No, it's not a place that builds hydroelectric plants. They actually bought the power plant.
Why?
Apple has been really big on renewable energy resources and trying to become carbon neutral, or if possible negative. And the way they have been doing this up until recently is buying carbon credits, trying to offset the power that they use to ensure that the power that replaces the power that they use comes from renewable resources.
Okay.
So this seems to be an effort to kind of cut out the middleman.
So they're not actually doing anything different. They're just buying renewable energy sources so that within the Apple umbrella, they're carbon neutral negative.
Correct.
That's
so they don't have
do
direct control over where their power comes from, right? They have to draw from the grid from whatever power plant is closest to them. And so in an effort to try and put back into the environment, they're buying carbon credits to make sure that the energy that goes back into the system to replace what they used comes from renewable resources.
Interesting. That's,
yes.
I mean, it's kind of one way to do it instead of, like I said, instead of actually changing your practices and truly getting closer to being carbon neutral negative. Let's just buy something that's already carbon negative and it'll balance out. Seems like cheating.
It does a little bit, although, like I said, I mean, they can't exactly build an entire new power plant or,
well, no, but you can change
the one that they're connected to.
You can work on changing your business practices and where you are using power or what steps you can do within an organization to be better, not just, getting a get out of jail free card.
Now I'm kind of wondering, how does this change anything, considering that the plant was already running to begin with, correct? So, I mean, it doesn't matter whose hands it's in as long as it's going?
On paper,
I
yes.
suppose not.
Apparently. The end game is no different, but Apple gets to say they're carbon negative.
Well, they are
like
doing some things to try and reduce their footprint. I mean, they're building
solar farms
No, okay,
to try and reduce their energy consumption.
All right, I see that it's different. That's adding something, but when you're just changing our power outsource to a different name on a piece of paper, even it's still going. I mean, you're not really changing much.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Fair point.
So it's a nice get out of jail free card, as Garrett said, but in the long run, doesn't change anything.
So just to correct it just a little bit, Oregon Live reports that Apple has taken over the efforts to complete the plant, so it's not running currently.
Okay.
But it was in the works of, so they're
Yes,
going to take it over and complete the project.
correct.
Got it.
So just thought that was an interesting purchase for a computer company.
Yeah. Well, going from one piece of technology or technology company to another and going to perhaps questionable purchases, Google Glass, as of tonight, the 15th, will be available for us normals, that's normals in quotes, to purchase the Google Glass. Now, what does normals mean? We're the non-beta testers. We are the mass populace. So the big question is, do I or don't I? Consider the cost, $1,500 plus tax.
Whew.
Yeah, whew is right.
Yeah.
So, follow-up question, can you afford it? If yes, is it worth it? And are you willing to be called a glass hole? That's right. That's the new insult for Google Glass owners. Followed up, do you live where you can be attacked or threatened? Already there's been multiple reports of beta testers who have been attacked for wearing the Google Glass in San Francisco. Not sure if this is out of jealousy like we used to see with the spinner rims, but it's happening.
And let's be honest, there were also people attacked and some killed for iPhones. So keep that in mind.
Which brings to the next point of the Google Glass at its price point is only an icon for the wealth, or as a wealth divide. The tech and the non-tech. The haves, the have-nots. Luckily, Google has given an update to Google Glass so that the glass frame is a more normal, that's going to be a less obvious, less weird piece of eyewear to be less obvious or just less futuristic.
Let's just integrate it into sunglasses.
Well, they got like a sunglasses frame, so now you have lenses. The first one was just like a visor type thing, just the frame, and you had the eyepiece. Now they've actually got, you could do prescription, sunglasses, whatever.
Well, the big problem with this is power. We've already got the screens that are flexible and, can be integrated into glasses and stuff like this. But ultimately, you're wearing a computer on the side of your head, and it has to be powered from somewhere.
People have been putting Bluetooth in their ear for the last 3 years.
Agreed, but Bluetooth isn't integrated into this, I don't believe.
It is Bluetooth. It's not a standalone device, it's an accessory.
That's true. No, that's true.
You still got to link it to your phone or whatever. It's
right,
not a...
Right, but my point is, to try and keep the sleek frame lines of a pair of glasses, there is nowhere to put a battery.
Well, it's not so much the sleek frame lines of standard glasses. It's just that the beta version was just the bar that, say, standard lenses would embed into the nose piece and the Google Glass screen, but no actual lenses as far as prescription or sunglasses go. The newer version has the lenses. It's still the same Google Glass component, the little box with the clear square glass, But now the framework that holds it can be used for sunglasses or prescription glasses. You can actually get physical lenses put into what was only a frame before.
So let me throw out a little bit of a debate point here while we're on the subject of Glassholes.
Glassholes.
Would you consider it more acceptable? Maybe you already consider it acceptable. Maybe we should start there. However, the society's reaction in general has been fairly negative to people wearing these things around. Do you think it would be more acceptable if they removed the camera from it? Do you think that's the major thing? I mean, we already have people walking around with their noses in their phones all the time. This isn't that much different. Do you think the objectionable piece to this is the fact that it has a camera?
No. I think the objectionable piece to this is that it's $1,500. I think if this was a $500 accessory or something that may be somewhat more reasonable and less extreme novelty and whatnot, then I think people would have less of an issue with it. But not all of us have.
Okay, but where do you draw the line at reasonable price?
That's a valid point. I mean, everyone's factor of reasonable is different, but I, especially where I am and where I think I'm going financially, I'm having a hard time justifying a $1,500 transaction.
Okay. Playing a little bit of devil's advocate here, because I agree, I do think it's a little too expensive as well, but for the sake of the debate, it wasn't that long ago, and even still today, you could easily pay $1,500 for a computer. This is a miniaturized computer that you wear on your head. Is the lack of appearance of value the fact that it's so small?
I don't know. I think because it's a non-necessity. Now, granted, a computer's a non-necessity either, but just about everyone in the modern world and in civilized countries has access to or uses a computer one way or another, whether it's, Facebook on your phone or work-wise or what we do. Almost everyone has a computer and has some degree of need to have that computer. This is a non-need. This is a pure luxury at a price point that a lot of people can't afford or can't justify spending.
So I would go back to, reach back in history for a little bit. The first computers were novelty items that were outrageously expensive.
Yeah.
And now they're almost necessities. The first cell phones were novelty items that were outrageously expensive, and then they became almost necessity items. The first smartphones were outrageously expensive, and then they became almost necessity items. Could it just be that we're on the leading edge of this curve? I mean, how do you define a necessity? You're calling this superfluous now. Perhaps in 5 years we'll look back on this and go, yeah, but that was reasonable for then, and now we can't get along without it.
And that's true. But if you look at the financial factor of it, look at the cost of what computers used to be versus income, and then the cost of computers now versus income. I'm not sure what the Motorola brick used to cost versus income, but I'm pretty sure it was, you were upper echelon to have that mobile phone.
Sure.
And now, like you said, everyone's got one. And it's a very true statement of we could just be on that cusp of the new and the luxury now that will evolve into more or less necessity in the future. But at the same time, I think that as the time goes on, there will be more technology out there, more competition, better pricing, more features, things that'll make it an easier pill to swallow.
So your argument is that the technology is not there to justify the price at the moment.
I'm saying the technology isn't there yet for it to be a necessity. It's novelty now for what it can do, and especially with the cost. But in 5 years, when it is your cell phone,
when other companies actually get behind it and create things for it, yes.
Yeah, and when you have competition to spur growth and spur ingenuity and advancement, to where this could replace cell phones or replace a lot of different features or, current living technology, where then it becomes a necessity, and I would venture to guess the price will come down. You have competition, it's the way it works.
So just for sake of comparison and argument, I don't know quite how reliable this source is, but I just did a Google search and came up with an answer here. The original Motorola brick phone
Yes.
was released in 1983 and sold for $4,000 then.
Okay.
Adjusted for inflation, if that were a brand new technology today, it would be $9,000.
So there's my point. What a cell phone was modern day $9,000 cost, you can get $100, $200. I mean, sure, max retail on some of these deals is $5 to $7, but you don't need to get the latest and greatest or the brand new. Still get a decent piece of technology for $100, $200.
Right, but my argument is that technology has always been subsidized by the early adopters. Yes, I agree that $1,500 is a lot for a wearable computer piece of eyewear, but those bleeding edge adopters are the ones that drive it and test it and drive the price down ultimately when they start making them in bulk. I mean, if people hadn't paid the $4,000 in 1983 for the Motorola brick, would we have an iPhone today? If they hadn't have paid, an inflation adjusted price of $5,000 for an Apple II back in '77, would we have, MacBooks today or iPads today? I agree.
I'm by no means...
From my standpoint, I think it is expensive, but
I by no means feel it's going to end here. That's definitely not my statement. I'm saying I can't justify buying one. If I had the disposable income where I had $1,500 laying around, sure, I probably would. But I'd have to be making a significant more income, more income to justify that expense. At its cost and where I'm at personally, it doesn't make sense. But there's a lot of people out there who it does.
So you're making a personal commentary, not a commentary against the technology as a whole.
Well, it's twofold. Right now, where I'm at, getting the Google Glass doesn't make sense. And given that it's the first piece of technology in this realm, the price is high and there's no competition for it. There will be, I guarantee it. Samsung's already got the gear. Samsung's probably already got a prototype in the works, just not announced. Everybody's got something in the background. So it will only have more options to people. The price will only come down, be more accessible, and be that much more popular. But it's not at that point yet.
Yep.
So it's not against the technology, it's against the cost. But it'll still get sold. And with that statement, given that sales are going on at 9 p.m. Tuesday night, supplies are limited. So if you're willing to put up with the costs and the potential risks, you better hurry.
By the time you hear this podcast, it is too late.
It is sold out.
Well, they actually can release it at a very, good time. I mean, everyone now is going to start getting their tax refunds and.
Oh, this was not an accident for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this was time target release.
Are you saying there's a conspiracy here?
I'm saying there's smart business.
Good comeback.
Thanks.
Very good. So, I'm gonna agree with Gary here. For the cost, the technology isn't there yet. I mean, once we do get to a point where there are the companies behind it producing more or less apps for the device, and the price does come down, yeah, maybe it will be a necessity in 3 to 4 to 5 years. But not now. For the normal, I use quotes there, populace.
And with that said, I think that's a dead horse. Let's move on.
Yes, let's move on.
So,
No? What?
oh no, I said so. While we're on the technology or the subject of weird and new technology, we have covered in the past 3D printing.
We have.
We have. So Staples has decided to make it accessible to the masses a little more easily. 2 of their locations, one in New York and one in Los Angeles, will offer 3D printing for contract. At the moment you can send documents to Staples and have them printed and bound and whatever and go pick them up when they're done. They're going to be offering 3D printing as a service.
So
they're
like
doing it as a trial. Say again?
You could send them like a digital model and they would 3D print so say you're a contractor, right? Or an architect. Instead of having a 3D rendering digitally, you can actually send it to Staples and have them 3D print a model of whatever you're doing.
Have them do a 3D printout of it.
That's cool, because I always, like you see aircraft and they always have like the model ones on like the naval desks or whatever. I always thought that was cool.
Agreed.
Okay.
So it should be interesting, and it should lower the cost of entry. I don't think that these are going to be cheap prints by any stretch, but if all you need is one, you don't have to go to the expense of buying a whole printer just to print one item. This is from Bloomberg. They're reporting that they'll be able to do it in 6 different materials. No word on price yet, but expect it to be slightly pricier than, a color copy.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I can definitely see the appeal of 3D printing. I mean, as someone who's actually taken a drafting class and been able to look at architectural designs, I mean, if you're building a house for someone and let's just say they're not that imaginative, when you can print basically a model scale of that house or building,
that would be cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, imagine you have a house built, right? You're contracted, and the architect or contractor has a 3D model printed out by Staples or whoever. And now once your house is built, you can give that 3D model to your daughter as a dollhouse, and now you've got your home inside of your home.
Getting meta
Inception.
here.
Inception. Wait,
yes.
You have something fun, right?
Yes, we do have something fun. Over the weekend, PAX, or the Penny Arcade Expo, the East version, or variant of it, was held. I did say this weekend, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. This is primarily indie game focused. Yet, however, some of the big guys seem to have sneaked in and put up their booths. Along with that was the giant known as Blizzard Entertainment, with their release of a single-player version single-player add-on of their card game Hearthstone, named Curse of Naxxramas. Now, anyone who's played WoW within the beginning first, before any of the expansions, and then I believe the second expansion, Wrath of the Lich King. Next, Remus was a 4-winged raid. Spider. Speaking of which, there was an arachnid quarter in that one. So that was kind of funny. Sorry. 4-winged raid in WoW. So the way they're breaking this up is that the wings of the, raid in Hearthstone will be broken up. You will be able to travel through each wing throughout fighting bosses in a card game, in the Hearthstone card game, where the bosses will have their own version, or their own card, their own hero power. And from what we've heard, this is actually a very different way of releasing a card game expansion, like Magic, that will release a expansion about every half year. They are releasing this expansion slowly, trickling it down throughout the next 5 weeks. So the thing is, it's actually a relatively new way from tradition, and wondering what you guys think about it, other than just dumping an expansion on for the game.
It's a card game, and it's a digital card game, and I have no say in the matter. I don't get it. I don't see the point. I think if you're going to do expansions, you should have, like if you're playing a real card game, you go out and buy an expansion set, and if it makes sense, great. If it doesn't, then, you just wasted your money, like buying any other card expansion game. I honestly only heard about half of what you were talking about because I have obviously not a big fan of the Hearthstone digital card game franchises.
Are they doing... So is this going to be a pay once and you get the cards over time?
This is
either... Or are you paying for each new... whatever they're going to call it?
You can pay for each wing, either your choice of the in-game gold currency or real money. Now, I'm never really going to say pay for it with real money. So, you are going to unlock cards as you complete the wing, and with new cards comes different possibilities, which is, I guess, satiating? Ooh. People's urge for more cards, stating that the game has now become cookie cutter with only as so many combos within the classes that you can produce.
So people are saying the game, because there's so many limitations, there's no uniqueness to people's decks.
Because people have already figured out
the same songs, the same cards.
Yeah.
Typical.
Well,
card game.
As far as card collector card games go, I think it's a good idea to refresh decks every once in a while to keep variation and stuff. I'm kind of with Garrett on this one. I'm not a big collector card deck fan, either digital or physical, so I don't have a dog in this fight, as they say, but for those that are, I think it's a good thing.
For me, I would actually rather have a digital version instead of a physical version, because for us right now, space is limited and data doesn't take up any physical space.
My counter to that is, instead of going somewhere and meeting people and playing the game, you just lock yourself up and you're antisocial, and you're playing the game against somebody, but you don't know who they are. You have no social interaction. So, and how much room does a deck of cards take up, really?
Well, there is the excuse that you can go out to a LAN party and play this with other people and have physical contact as well.
So do it.
That is a possibility.
I got a pretty key topic here I want to get to before we finish it up, and we are running dangerously close to our limit. India's top court has made a landmark decision today. The Supreme Court has voted to recognize a third gender category for federal documents. They have added the transgender to all the federal documents, and mainly ones that have to do with welfare, education, healthcare, and jobs. They are trying to assist, or they're doing this to assist in people who relate to being transgender to overcome social and economic challenges. Previously to this verdict, obviously, the option was only male-female, which, if you're someone who feels like you're born in the wrong body, can definitely make you feel out of place. You're maybe born male, but you relate to women better. What do you choose? Mentally, you're one. Physically, you're the other. This decision was praised by the people of India, giving relief to 3 million Indians who associate with being transgender, which got me thinking, at what stage does this get to apply? I mean, is it anyone who relates to it, or are there guidelines? Well, a few paragraphs later, they answer that question. According to the Indian text, they say transgender is defined by either acquiring the physical characteristics of the opposite sex, so physically going through sex change surgeries, or presenting yourself in a way that does not correspond to your sex at birth. So by being a cross-dresser, but you have to, that is you. You have to do that all the time. So it's not for, someone who may be gay and it just does like drag queen competitions. You've got to be that. You have to associate with that. You have to present yourself as that. The reason for this major shift is that the Indian culture wanted to make sure that they provided equal opportunity for all their citizens. They said that this does not apply to lesbian, gay, or bisexuals, but then again, although that's a sexual preference or a sexual wiring, you don't necessarily feel that you belong in a different body, and that's kind of the general consensus for people who are transgender. The court also is going on an awareness campaign to try to lessen the social stigma of transgenders. So that's a huge kind of step forward for us as people. Sorry for the ruffling, it's my papers. But
shuffling your notes there.
I actually had physical notes today. It's a freaking...
Oh my goodness.
I know, it's amazing.
I think this is an interesting topic, though, because I think the tendency is to pigeonhole this into, people that are choosing to change, or people that, aren't happy with what they've been given, or, something along those lines. But the fact is that there are people born every day with ambiguous gender traits.
Yeah. That
are forced to choose to associate one way or the other.
Well, but there's times, too, that say, saw this in different TV shows and also in literature, but babies that are born hermaphroditic, where they have both sex organs, and doctors have to make a decision on what they do, but they may choose to castrate a hermaphroditic child to be female, but as that child grows up, they are masculine, they associate with male, they live the life of any other, boy child, yet they don't have any of the physical characteristics that of male. So there's been that sort of thing where, there's a chemical wiring in the brain. And until science can really prove that, I'm a firm believer that no one chooses one or the other. You're born with the wiring, the disposition to follow a certain path when it comes to sexual preference. And the extremes of those, in my opinion, are those who feel that they don't belong in the body that they have. They're born male, they associate female, and vice versa. So it's... Until science can get to a certain point, this debate and discussion will keep progressing.
Forever be fueled.
Yeah, it's cyclical.
But I agree with you. I think it is a step forward.
Yeah.
Recognizing that, sometimes things aren't quite so black and white.
Agreed. And the fact that a government is supporting their people as opposed to just kind of saying, well, you're not a significant portion of the population, so you go stand over here in the corner. It's nice to see the acceptance from a high level in the political realm.
Agreed.
Fantastic.
Same.
Well, let's keep wrapping this up. You guys have any final thoughts?
No, I think that about does it.
No, I mean,
Wade, you had some statements about the channel. Did you want to address those, or was that...
yeah, I've been kind of looking into some more beta stuff. Roughly Stonehearth, and hopefully mentioned this last podcast, was it Fortnite? Mm-hmm. I'm kind of looking to trying to keep people updated on like the I guess best word to say is updates on the games.
Okay.
Kind of keep with more, start branching into more news, such like things. Because, I mean, let's be honest, how are we going to bring ourselves to put ourselves out there when we have 20,000 other people who are doing the same thing we are?
Sure. You got to do something.
Yep, you got to do something different to be noticed.
That's it. Yeah, I'm taking a few days off this week from work, kids' spring break, so hopefully I'll have maybe some video stuff, depending on what we do, but at least some fun stuff to share for next week's podcast.
Cool.
But that's going to do it for us, I think.
Keep on
Tuesday.
learning.
For Tuesday, April 15th, an abundance of Naught, signing out.
Goodbye,
That's a wrap.
everyone.
We here at Abundance of Naught do appreciate you listening in and would also appreciate you sharing us with your friends via the Stitcher Radio app and also iTunes. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and join us at Facebook. Thank you.